Hi, I'm Sharon Shin, and I'm going to show you how I dry brush some soft clouds in a blue sky. This is a project that I did of a lighthouse for summer, and I'm using a Vienna bristle brush by Royal Langnickel Brushes and just white DecoArt Americana Premium Acrylics. So I've loaded this small flat brush, it's I think a number 4, number 6, with some white, and I'm going to start by dabbing it on the surface to fill in the top of my cloud, and then I pinch it out on a paper towel to remove the excess paint and keep dabbing along the bottom. You can dab or scrub back and forth, just anything to soften this bottom edge. You can see as I'm applying the paint, I'm working more on the corner of the brush. Working on the corner is going to let you control the texture a little bit more. You just want to work that paint out till it feathers out to almost nothing on the blue sky background. So here I'm just going to scrub back and forth. You can see I'm putting pretty much pressure on the brush as it's sort of shaking my table. You can reload with some white paint and start working forward. The point is you want to have some darks and lights in this cloud to give it some depth and make it look billowy. So I've dropped down a little bit, start adding some stronger white paint. And I'm using that background sky that peeks through as some of my shadows. You can place the clouds wherever you like them, as few or as many as you want. Try to make them random and change the shapes a little bit so they don't look too repetitive. You want some stronger areas and some more wispy areas. If you want to add some shadows into the clouds to make them a little deeper, you can add some purples. I've used primary cyan and cadmium red hue on my palette, so I just mixed a little of the two together to make a purple. You probably want a little bit more blue in it to make a blue-violet color versus a red-violet. But you can adjust this as you go along. So I'm just coming along the front of this cloud and adding in some shadows. And again, you want to work these out so they're soft. I've probably got these a little heavy, but we'll correct them as we go along. And I can correct the tone of them if I've decided after I get some more clouds in they're too red, I can add some blue or vice versa. I'm cleaning my brush out to get that purple color out and just pinching it in my paper towel to remove the excess water. I'm going to pick up some more white and start dabbing in some more clouds in front of these shadows. So you see you can, you're going to get a nice light edge up against the front of that shadow, and it will give more depth to the cloud. You can work that white over top of that purple to soften it out some. And since the paint's still wet a little bit, you're going to pick up some of that color and it'll add some violet tones to your white. So you just really want to work these clouds in layers, working from the back of the cloud to the front. This will be probably our biggest cloud on this little board, so it will have more layers to it than the others. After I get some white in front of that, I just think that purple is just a little too harsh, so I'm going to keep going back and softening that down with some wispy white over top of it. I'm just making these clouds up as I go along, so you can do that too, or if you have a pattern, you can kind of trace the general areas where clouds are going. But we're going to work on down the board and add some clouds throughout the sky. And I don't always get everything perfect the first time either, even if it's ever perfect, really. But I just want to show you how I do some things and how I can make some corrections if I don't like the way the overall effect looks once I'm done. So we're going to keep going up and adjusting that big cloud we just did above, because I still think those shadows are just too harsh. I want to soften them down a lot. But we're going to go ahead and add some blue shadows in to this lower cloud and soften the big cloud above. The shadows are just too red. I've got too much red in my mix. So I'm just brushing some blue back over top, and that'll turn it into more of a blue-violet color. We're going to add some of that same blue down here into this next little cloud along the bottom. And you'll see I'm doing a much softer little shadow on this one. I'm just barely picking up paint on my brush. It's not very much at all. On this cloud, I'm just going to pick up a little bit of the cyan blue and shade the bottom of these clouds just very softly. I'm going to drag some up just around some real soft sky color. With our background, when we put it in, it's kind of variegated enough that it gives the effect of just some very, very soft background clouds. So now you can pick up some more white and pounce that in above the shadows to add some more highlights. So still, the important thing with the clouds is just to variegate the values. You want some lights and some darker areas, and then just some midtones to show some depth in the clouds. I'm still wanting to go back to this big cloud at the top and soften these shadows down. The more clouds I put in, the more I realize that I think it's just too dark. So I'm putting some more white in over top of that and blending that out to soften it more. So this is a way that you can correct things as you work along. You don't have to worry about if you get it in exactly right the first time. Just keep working over it a little bit and blend it down to something that you like. Reinforce these shadows here in this cloud a little bit more, put a little bit more of that red into them. Just be careful not to overdo it. Wipe excess paint out of your brush, and I'm picking up some more white to tone that down a little bit so we don't get too strong. But this helps the color of the shadows blend a little bit more with that upper cloud, so that our tones are similar. These bristle brushes are a little stiffer and can take more abuse than one of the gold Taklon brushes, so I can scrub out as I go without worrying about damaging the brush. I'm just going to continue down the sky and, fill in clouds wherever you like them. I like to, here I've got my lighthouse traced in, so I want to let some kind of trail over behind the lighthouse. This will be the glass area at the top. You don't want the clouds to look like they start and stop too abruptly, working around your design. You're going to start put some in the middle of the board. You can do some trailing off either side of the board. Just as things dry and I, look at the overall effect, I'll go back and rework some of the previous areas. Again, softening these shadows down. Didn't really want this to look like a stormy sky, just more of a bright summer day. So I don't want any real dark shadows up in there. So I'm just going to go in and fill in a few more of these little fluffy cap clouds. Make some adjustments to the previous clouds and then we should be done. So here's the finished board with the Drybrushed Clouds. Thanks for watching and I hope you'll subscribe to my YouTube channel.